Hi and welcome back to Love English. I'm Leila, and in today's lesson we are going to be focusing on rather formal vocabulary and expressions. Yes, that's right, today is all about formal English, not slang, not neutral English, but English that will make a good impression. English that will help you stand out in a crowd. English that will help you in an interview situation, or just in general when you want to make that great impression. Remember, formal English is generally considered to be more polite as well. So many of these expressions, these alternative vocabulary choices, will help you be more polite in various situations. Now, before we commence with the lesson, I'd like to share with you an amazing opportunity to help you boost your English level in a very short space of time. Our long-term and trusted partners, Lingoda, are bringing back the Lingoda Language Sprint. This high-intensity language course helps you achieve amazing results in only 3 months. Online learning, now more than ever, has helped students around the globe study English, continue their learning, whether at school or university, or indeed even start new courses. Now, Lingoda is an online language academy. Studying online with Lingoda teachers is an amazing opportunity. It's an investment in your future to help improve your work prospects, get that promotion you want, help you with your university or schoolwork, or it may be that you simply want to boost your conversation skills. Now, as an added bonus and exclusively for Love English subscribers, I will be offering you 3 Zoom conversation classes. For those of you who sign up to the Lingoda Language Sprint, I will be doing a conversation class at the beginning of the sprint, in the middle, and at the end. Now, why would I choose to do this? Well, not only do I want to reward your loyalty to our channel, but I'd also like to see for myself just how quickly your language progresses. You'll just need to contact us with proof that you've signed up to the Lingoda Language Sprint using our link and our special discount code WIN20 to save €10, $11 off your deposit. Now, what does this 3-month intensive language course include? Well, you'll be learning with native professional teachers in small online classes of no more than 5 people. Now let's look at the details and pay attention for some formal language that I casually drop in as I explain more. The sprint will commence on January the 15th, 2021. And you can sign up and register until the 28th of December this year, 2020. Now, there are 2 sprint options. Number 1, the super sprint, where, yes, you will be studying for 30 lessons per month, 1 lesson each day. So pretty intensive, and if you feel that that is too much, then you can always do the regular sprint where you will be having 15 classes per month. That's over again the 3-month period, and again only 1 class per day. Now with the super sprint, you can get 100% of your money, of your cash, of your tuition fees, your wonga. That's not very formal, is it? Yes, you can get 100% of your money back, refunded, or more formal, reimbursed. With the regular sprint, if you attend all your classes, you can get 50% of your tuition fees back, reimbursed. You just have to attend all your classes, all the agreed classes that you schedule, attend them, and you get, well, up to 100% of your money back. You can join or enroll on the Lingoda Language Sprint by clicking the link in the description box, and of course using our code again, WIN20, to save €10 on your €49 deposit. And don't forget, for everyone that uses our link and our code WIN20 to sign up for the sprint, you will be invited to 3 Zoom conversation catch-ups with me at the beginning, middle, and end of your Lingoda course for me to check your progress and to show that Lingoda really can help you achieve amazing results in a super short time. Right, so on with the lesson. Let's get formal. You can see I've dressed a bit more formally for you today. Words, phrases, expressions, formal English that you can use on a daily basis that will help you in the workplace, at university, in formal situations, and help you make a great impression. Right, 1 to 5, greetings and goodbyes. Let's keep it simple to start with. So, number 1, hello. Hello, nothing wrong with it, perfectly neutral. Hi, hiya, hey would be the more informal slang, but if you would like to be a little bit more formal, then why not try good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Simple but effective. Number 2, how are you? How are you? Now, you could use how do you do? How do you do? This is very formal. I would say it would be used more with people that you don't know, that you feel are in a more senior position perhaps. So how do you do? Less commonly used, but certainly still possible and a nice alternative to a simple how are you? How do you do? How do you do? In response, fine, thank you. Yes, no problem with that. It's more neutral. But you could use very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. How do you do? Very well, thank you. Number 4, goodbye. To say goodbye. Goodbye is perfectly acceptable again. However, if you'd like to be a little bit more formal, maybe a little bit more polite, farewell. Farewell then. It was lovely to see you. A little bit more formal than I would usually use, but certainly it is possible. And of course, nice to see you. Nice to see you. You might want to choose it was a pleasure as always, or pleasure as always, meaning it was a pleasure to see you. Or it was wonderful talking with you. It was wonderful to talk with you. I must be going. I must be going. Another alternative actually there to goodbye. Right, now looking at some common day-to-day vocabulary we use. Starting with yes, yes. Now, absolutely nothing wrong with using yes, but you could choose certainly, absolutely, of course. Would you like to go out for dinner tonight? Of course, absolutely. Absolutely does sound a little bit more enthusiastic, but all of these alternatives are slightly more formal than the neutral yes. No, no. Now, no actually does have some negative connotations. It can sound quite strong, quite hard. So why not try, I'm afraid not, I'm afraid not, or I'm afraid I can't. Or as an alternative to can't, you can use unable to. I'm afraid I'm unable to help you with your request. I'm afraid I'm not free for the party, so I'm unable to make it. Number 8, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate. I appreciate. I appreciate your consideration. I appreciate your gratitude. I appreciate your support. You could also use my sincere appreciation, the noun, or my sincere thanks. It does sound more formal and actually probably more formal than the first example I gave you. I appreciate your time, I appreciate your support, help. All of these are great examples. So I appreciate plus a noun, whatever it is they've done, or my sincere appreciation, my sincere thanks, my sincere gratitude. You could say I'm extremely grateful. I'm extremely grateful for. I'm extremely grateful for your understanding. So when we are using these more formal alternatives to thanks, you can see we're often explaining in a little bit more detail exactly what we are thankful for. Sorry. Sorry. Nothing wrong with sorry. Good to use it, but if you would like to sound a little bit more formal or indeed more polite, you could use one of 2 alternatives. I apologize for my behavior. I apologize for being so late. Or my apologies, my apologies. Both of these can be used on their own, or you could use them with a noun. My apologies for my lateness, or my apologies for being late, for doing something that I shouldn't have done. My apologies. I apologize. Number 10, you're welcome. You're welcome. Neutral, polite, but a little bit more formal. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. You're not just saying you're welcome, but you're saying you were happy to do it. You enjoyed whatever it was, whatever you helped them with. It was a pleasure. Now be careful with these two, wrong or using the word mistake. Wrong, the adjective, mistake, the noun. Both of these, although quite neutral, can actually sound quite strong, quite hard, a little bit like no. Instead of wrong, you could use incorrect. Incorrect. Now, as an English teacher, I often have to explain to students that they're not quite right, and I don't want to use the word wrong, and indeed I don't want to use the word mistake. So instead of wrong, I would say incorrect or not quite right, and instead of mistake, I would use the word error. Error. There's just a small error on your homework you made. One of your answers is incorrect. Why don't you check it again? So wrong and mistake, incorrect or error. Number 13 and 14, so boring, good and bad. Good and bad. Two words, two adjectives that drive me crazy when students use them because they are so simple. There are many alternatives, but to keep it really nice, not too complicated, why not try positive? Good, positive. It was a good experience, it was a positive experience. You wouldn't necessarily use it to describe something in detail. For example, the food was good, but you wouldn't say the food was positive. The same with bad. You wouldn't say the food was negative. You might say it was not very pleasant, but alternatively, you could just use the word negative, the adjective negative. Positive, negative, when talking very generally. When you want to go into more descriptions of things, then you might want to look more carefully at the adjectives you choose. Now, on a similar theme, expensive and cheap, very common adjectives that we use on a day-to-day basis. But instead of saying, woof, that was a rather expensive coat, you could say costly, costly. Now, costly obviously means it costs a lot, but it's a nice alternative. So you could say it was rather a costly meal. Not it was very expensive. It sounds like you're complaining a little bit too much there. If you want to talk with rather more flamboyant, strong language, but still be using formal English, you could use the word extortionate. The prices were extortionate. It's a lovely word, it's a nice adjective, but it basically means exceptionally expensive when used to talk about money. Now, instead of cheap or low cost, you might choose inexpensive. Inexpensive. Again, it doesn't sound so, I don't know what's the word. Cheap is rather informal. It can sound quite negative. So try inexpensive. Inexpensive. I think. There's nothing wrong with using I think. I reckon is common English, but more informal. Alternatively, in a more formal situation, you could use in my opinion, or more formal than that, I'm of the opinion. I'm of the opinion everyone should have an education. Now the final one here, let. He let me go out. Will you let her help? Use allow or more formal permit. Permit. Referring to permission, of course. She permitted me to leave class early for my doctor's appointment. Right, now number 19. As I'm sure many of you realise and know, phrasal verbs are used less frequently in formal English. There are, of course, many exceptions. For example, carry out research, but as a general rule, avoid them when you want to sound more formal. As an example, you might say to your boss, I need to find out who's working this Friday. Rather, you can use I need to ascertain. Ascertain. Discover would be the more neutral choice, but ascertain is much more formal and not necessarily polite, but certainly it gives a sense of seriousness to what you are doing. We need to ascertain who would be best for the role. Indeed, another example, number 20, point out. Point out. You could use this in a more neutral way with show. She pointed out the mistake, the error. she showed me the error, or she indicated there was an error in the report. She indicated there was an error in the report. Now, of course, there are many more phrasal verbs in English. Why not comment below, use a phrasal verb, and search for its formal equivalent online. You probably will be able to do this. And of course, if you comment below, use the sentence with the phrasal verb and then the more formal verb. I'll be sure to correct it for you. Now, number 21 is not one specific word, but we're talking about plurals, quantifiers. Rather than using tons, loads, a lot even, you could use much, many, or several. Several. I have tons of books on this topic at home. I have several books on this topic at home. So be careful what quantifiers you use. Often in English, we use very informal quantifiers, tons, loads, heaps, but these are very much informal. Using much, many, or several will help you sound more formal. Remember, much with uncountable nouns and many with countable nouns. And several means, well, 3 or more. 22, looking at modal verbs. Now, modal verbs, we have many of them, but did you know that some are more formal than others? For example, could is more formal than can. Could you help me? Can you help me? May is more formal than might. I may go to the shops later. I might go to the shops later. And instead of using should, you should do your homework, you can use you ought to. You ought to do your homework. Remember, after those modal verbs, pay attention to the structure. There is the infinitive verb after the modal verb, or in this case, ought to go, ought to do, the preposition to. Could I use your restroom, please? Restroom, a nice alternative to toilet or bathroom. I may schedule the meeting for this Friday. What are your thoughts? Now, number 23, this is a grammar point that I'm going to squeeze into 1 minute, probably less, using indirect questions. Indirect questions. They really are what they sound like. It's basically asking a question, but in a roundabout, annoying way, really. But it's more formal, more polite. Can I borrow that pen? Would you mind lending me that pen? Could I borrow that pen? So indirect questions are really going to help you sound much more formal and much more polite in English. Could I just ask, where did you get that lovely top? Rather than, where did you get that lovely top? Would you mind telling me where the nearest bus stop is? Rather than, where is the nearest bus stop? Indirect questions, I hope you agree, sound much, much more formal and polite. Now, number 24, this is something that really does irritate me. Using text talk acronyms when you speak, or even in formal emails. Please don't put LOL if it's a formal email to your boss. So as an example, acronyms that are commonly used, LOL, LMAO, laughing my ass off. Oh, okay, OMG, shock, horror. Rather than using those acronyms, just simply say, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Hilarious is a more formal alternative to funny. Or indeed, you could use how shocking, rather than oh, I'm shocked. So avoid acronyms, particularly when you speak, and of course, in formal emails. Text messages, go ahead, use them. But please remember, formal situations, don't do it. Right, now let's get down to some meaty vocabulary in this second half. Verbs. Let's look at some very common verbs and their more formal alternatives. I agree. I agree. I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. I really think that girl needs more homework. I disagree. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Dogs are not better than cats. Start. Begin, or more formal, commence. Commence. Stop. Cease, or more formal, desist. 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 Hate. Hate. I hate him. I abhor him. Abhor. Loathe or detest. All of those pretty unpleasant. Of course, hate, not the nicest verb anyway, so any formal synonym is still going to be pretty strong. Love. I love or I adore. I adore the chocolates. Delicious. Like, to like. I'm fond of. I like playing tennis. I'm fond of playing tennis. I like you. I'm rather fond of you. I want. I want. I'd like. I would like. Or desire. I desire. Remember, some of these words do have slightly different connotations. So with desire, often it's maybe more romantic, maybe more sensual. You really wouldn't use desire when you're talking about food. I desire a biscuit. No, you might say I like a biscuit, but you wouldn't say desire in that situation. And a great one, need, rather use require. We require your attendance at the meeting today. We need you to attend the meeting. Now, some common adjectives. Happy, happy. Elated, I was elated to hear her news, or overjoyed, overjoyed. Sad, well, you could use depressed, depressed, which does indicate a stronger, more long-term sadness, or despondent, despondent. I was rather despondent when you didn't want to come to the party. Angry, angry. You might use cross or, much better, I like this one, irate, irate. She was completely irate when she heard the news. Annoyed, annoyed. The children annoyed me, or the children exasperated me, exasperated me. I was so annoyed I didn't know what to do. Or irritate. I was irritated. To irritate is to annoy, the verb, but I was irritated. I felt annoyed. Tired, fatigued, fatigued. Or weary. I quite like weary. I think it's not too formal, but just formal enough. I'm rather weary today after working so hard. 39. Excited, excited. Enthused, enthused. Or thrilled, thrilled. I'm always thrilled to see her. Confused, confused. Perplexed, perplexed. I was perplexed by her request. And interested, nothing wrong with it, perfectly good, but more formal, a little bit more creative. Fascinated, fascinated. Or intrigued, intrigued. Now remember, I am using the ED version of these adjectives, so if you want to describe the thing that makes you feel, then you would add ing. It was a fascinating movie. I was fascinated. And finally, some nice formal adverbs. Some lovely alternatives to common adverbs we use on a day-to-day basis. So, carefully. She worked carefully. Try, diligently, diligently. She worked diligently. My favourite, and one you'll often hear me use, rather than very, rather, rather. It was rather a lovely party. She's rather nice, isn't she? 44, badly, badly. You could use poorly. He performed badly in the test. He performed poorly in the test. Rarely, I rarely exercise. Seldom, I seldom exercise. And finally, often, often. Or often, yes, many of you do question the correct pronunciation. Often is fine with a T, or often. So, I often eat chocolate, I often eat chocolate, or more formal, I frequently eat chocolate. And there we have it. I think about 46 words, phrases, expressions, greetings that we use in everyday English. Yes, you now can sound a little bit more formal. And of course, if you did enjoy the lesson, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I'll be making one very soon on formal verbs. I'll be expanding on this lesson and adding to your formal vocabulary. And don't forget, if you'd like to improve your vocabulary even further, use some of these words, learn more formal vocabulary and expressions, then don't forget to sign up for that Lingoda language sprint before the 28th of December and use our code WIN20 to save €10 on your deposit, and of course get the chance to have 3 Zoom catch-up conversation sessions with me. for those of you that enter the language sprint exclusively for Love English subscribers. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you very soon with plenty more formal English. Bye.